Hey everyone, it's Laz from Adatis, and in today's video we'll be answering the question, is Power BI enterprise ready? Now when I'm asked this question, my answer is Power BI has come a long way and is continuously evolving for the better. Even though at some point in time I would have probably answered no, this is certainly not the case any longer. So if you want to know how Power BI is enterprise ready, keep watching as we'll be exploring 5 capabilities that do make Power BI an enterprise ready platform. Now before we jump into those 5 capabilities, just some quick history. In the past, I have had many conversations that led me to conclude that Power BI was not an enterprise ready platform. But again, that was in the past. Even though Power BI always used the analysis services engine, therefore is closely linked with analysis services, Power BI was seen as a self-service tool, and that's it. While something like analysis services was seen more as the enterprise solution. So Power BI was not seen as being able to provide a centralized version of the truth and was only seen as a self-service tool. However, when Power BI Premium came into play some time ago now, things changed. With many of the capabilities that were introduced with Premium and those that continuously follow today, Power BI is an enterprise-ready platform to be used by all. Okay, so what is the first capability that makes Power BI enterprise-ready? Well, I would say shared datasets. Now, in the past, we could have created a model in Power BI which had the capability to answer all our business questions. After all, we spend lots of time and assign plenty of resources against it. Yet we would have to publish that model multiple times across different workspaces. So if we have a report that was required by, let's say, members of the finance workspace and members of the finance executive workspace, we would have to go ahead and publish it multiple times, therefore creating duplicate versions. Now, this means unnecessarily using resources, more maintenance, and creating data silos, and we all want to avoid those. However, when shared datasets were introduced, this was no longer the case. Power BI can be seen as a single centralized version of the truth now. So we can now go ahead and publish a single dataset to a single workspace and create multiple reports that use that dataset as a source, but these reports reside in different workspaces. And this means we can publish our dataset to the finance workspace, then create reports that can be published directly to the finance executive workspace. A second capability that makes Power BI enterprise ready are the XMLA endpoints, which are both read-write enabled. So previously, Power BI was not seen as an open model, meaning we could not use Power BI datasets as a source for other applications. Hence, it was seen somewhat as a restricted model. So we could only connect to Power BI datasets using Power BI Desktop and Excel. However, with XMLA endpoints being enabled, we can use a single Power BI dataset as a source for management tools such as SQL Server Management Studio, other tools such as DAX Studio, which we can use for optimization or debugging, and we could even use it for other BI vendor platforms if that was really needed. The third capability which makes Power BI enterprise ready is incremental refresh. Now, I remember way back when I was early in my Power BI journey, AS developers telling me analysis services has partitioning which enables only part of the data to be included in the recurring refresh process. How can we do it in Power BI? And this was a major limitation, especially with how memory heavy Power BI is when conducting refreshes. So every time a refresh was conducted on a Power BI dataset, the entire dataset needed to be refreshed. However, thanks to incremental refresh being introduced to Power BI, we can now choose a frame of data to be refreshed only instead of the entire dataset. And the benefits that this offers us Well, faster refreshes due to choosing a frame of data rather than the entire data. Also more reliable refreshes, as no longer do we need long-lasting connections to the source systems, and reduced resource consumption as well, due to no full data sets being refreshed. The fourth capability that makes Power BI enterprise ready are Power BI paginated reports. Now, previously there was no way to develop those operational style reports, and more importantly, host them alongside our standard Power BI reports. So, to have that complete enterprise ready platform, I believe that this was needed. Now, you may be thinking that this should not be the case. After all, Power BI is not for operational reporting, but more for self-service data discovery, which both have a different purpose, right? I would agree on this too. However, for Power BI to be classified as enterprise ready, we must have the ability to have our standard Power BI reports hosted with reports that are pixel perfect, print ready, fit into a single page, and have those common features that come with operational reports, such as subscriptions for distributing them out through email. So with Power BI paginated report builder, all this is now possible. We have now come to the last capability I would like to mention, but certainly not the last in enterprise capabilities for Power BI, and that is composite models and aggregations. So previously, we couldn't handle very large data sets, even with Premium removing that 1 GB cap. So aggregations and composite models were the answer to this, as they both work hand in hand to offer us the ability to work with much larger data sets by storing the data in memory at the aggregated level only. Now, this is a capability I love. So let's explain this with an example. So we have the connectivity type import, which is one of the most common ways to ingest data, and also is one of the best performing, as well, all the data is loaded into memory. However, the full dataset is in memory, therefore it is easy to reach the max memory usage, which can be super annoying, but a common thing when ingesting large volumes of data. We then have a different connectivity type, which is direct query, which consumes considerably less memory, as only the metadata is stored, and this is one of the key differences between import and direct query. So composite models allow us to combine the best of both worlds, so we can go ahead and store our large volume tables as a direct query, therefore returning data only at point of request, and we can store our more staticky tables, let's say, as an import, as we can see on the screen now. However, this still means having the sales fact table in direct query mode, which might not be the most performant. So to resolve this, we can actually go ahead and use an aggregate table, which allows us to summarize, or to have a summarized version of the sales fact table instead. Now, a common question is, well, how do we do this? The way this can be done is by creating a virtual table. This can be done through SQL, it can be done through Power Query, so any way you would usually derive a table. And this here will contain the sum of sales grouped by location and calendar, as we can see. So now when users of the report navigate and interact with the visual that is grouped on dates and city, the data will come through the aggregate table. However, if the user chooses to view sales by date and, let's say, customer name, it can't go through the aggregated data as it's not grouped at this level. So this will automatically be redirected to the sales fact instead. Now, that is composite models with aggregations. But as we are on the topic of composite models, I just have to offer some more information on a more recent update from the December 2020 update. So we can now also connect to our semantic layer, therefore our single version of the truth that is usually developed and maintained in Azure Analysis Services, SQL Server analysis services, or through Power BI datasets. And we can combine this with some additional data that has been imported. So let's say we have our enterprise model, as we can see on the slide now. We can connect with a live connection and analyze all our sales data. Great, but hey, we could always do this, right? However, we also need to add the budget file that finance requested. Previously, this was not available as composite models did not work with sources that use a live connection. But now, with the ability to use direct query for Power BI datasets and Azure analysis services, this is all possible. So we can import our budget file and connect it to our enterprise model, as we can see on the screen now. So those were the 5 capabilities that make Power BI an enterprise-ready platform. I hope you found this useful, and please let me know of some other capabilities that make Power BI enterprise ready. Take care.